let's go. Welcome back to the Squishy Sports Podcast. And today we are ripping right into the 2026 NRL draw, which came out last week. And we just had our footy season just finished with internationals. But boy, oh boy, I'm getting excited already. I think, what are we, 76 days or something away from first preseason game. 100 days must be away from the first NRL game in Vegas. I am getting antsy. I am getting a bloody keen, and the season literally finished, just over a month ago? I bloody love the footy, and it's so good. The draw has come out last week, and I have given it a red-hot look for you guys, just so you know, and you don't have to look through it. I've given it a red-hot look for you, and let me tell you, AI has made this one of the most interesting and unbalanced and storyline-packed draws that we've had in quite a while. You absolutely love to see it. So I'm going to go through the biggest winners of the draw. I've got 4 biggest winners. I've got 4 biggest losers of the draw as well. And then I'm going to cap it off with the blockbuster games. Obviously, we know what the blockbuster games are, right, generally throughout the year, but I'm going to tell you when they are as well. So let's get right into it. Let's rip in. So for me, this is probably I'm going to go start with the top 4 easiest draws in the comp for NRL 2026 next year. This is, I think, the easiest in the comp next year, and a pretty good team as well. Finished top 8 last year, and that is the Cronulla Sharks. Up, Cronulla. The Sharkies, they have got 10 home games at Shark Stadium next year down in Cronulla there. I believe the other 2, they play away, and then they do one. I think they're having one at Magic Round as well. What I've also done, I've done how many home games they're having at their stadium, what stadiums, and then what sort of days during the week they are as well. So they've got 2 Fridays, 4 Saturdays, and 4 Sundays. Their travel distance is around the 21,000 kilometre mark. They're not having to traveling below average, so they're a Sydney-based team. They are one of the 5 teams that do not have a 5-day turnaround. So there are 12 teams that do have a 5-day turnaround this year. Sharkies are one of those 5 that do not have a 5-day turnaround. So they should be very well rested next year, ready to go. In regards to, obviously, you play 24 games this season, so there's 8 teams you're going to have to play twice, essentially half the comp. Out of those 8 teams, only 3 of them finished in the top 8 last year, and 1 of them finished in the top 4 last year. So Sharkies didn't even make the top 4 last year, and they only have to play 1 team that finished in the top 4 twice last year, and that is the Raiders. So they also played the Warriors and the Roosters twice, and the other 5 teams they played twice are the Titans, Manly, Souths, Dragons, and the Dolphins. So they've got a ripping draw. Like those, they've got really good opportunity to, capitalize on beating those bottom 8 teams there that they play twice, and they may even sneak in a win against like the Warriors or the Roosters at home as well, and maybe even the Raiders as well. So they don't have to play Penrith twice, they don't have to play the Broncos twice, they don't have to play the Storm twice. Very, very handy draw for Cronulla so far. And the game they do get to play against the Storm is not until the last round of the season, and that's in Cronulla as well. So you're probably going to be thinking, I think they're going to be around the top 4 sort of stage, and I think that is perfect for them, because if they're playing the Storm in the last round, that is essentially going to be like a finals footy warm-up for them, right? Like whether the Storm, they might be resting players or something, vice versa. That's essentially a finals footy warm-up for the Sharkies. So they get like a warm-up, 5 weeks of footy ready to go, maybe even 4 weeks if they, finish top 2 and make a prelim, that sort of thing. I've definitely got them finishing top 8 and even potentially top 4. They've got buys in round 7, round 12 in the origin period, and round 17 as well. So nicely spaced out. They get the first 6 weeks to sort of get into it. Then they get the bye, then another sort of 4 or 5 weeks, and then another bye, and another 4 or 5 weeks, and then a bye, and then they can just ramp it home, get really geared up after that round 17 by heading into the finals. They'll be playing consistently every single week, and I said finishing off with the Storm. Very big advantage in my opinion. Look for the Sharkies next year to be up near the top of the ladder for mine. Crossing over to team number 2, and that is the Manly Seagulls with a pretty soft draw. So this is a team that finished Bottom 8 next year, their first year since 2010 without their skipper, Daly Cherry Evans. Going to be such a good watch. They have 12 games at 4 Pines. They're not taking a home game anywhere. 2 Thursday, 2 Friday, 4 Saturday, and 4 Sunday. Very nicely spread out. They have a very low travel distance, literally 12,500 kilometers. I know it seems like a lot. The NRL average is about 24,000. So they do not have many sort of flights they have to catch. A lot of sort of their away games are Sydney-based teams. So very, very good schedule for Manly. No 5-day turnarounds. They're also one of the 5. They only have to play the Sharks and the Storm twice from the top 8. Literally one team from the top 4. Incredible. And then the other 6 teams are the Titans, the Knights, the Cowboys, the Eels, the Dragons, and the Dolphins. So they're pretty much playing the whole of the bottom sort of 9 apart from sort of Souths in there. Obviously, Manly missed the 8. 18 of their 24 games are in the Sydney sort of area. So as I said, that travel distance, I only have 6 games with a sort of interstate, which is just incredible. I know they're hosting the Warriors in the last round, so they don't have to go to New Zealand. They host the Broncos as well this year, so they only have to play the Broncos once, and actually hosting at Brookvale. No, they don't have to go up there and play Magic Round. They've got buys in round 3, 14, and 21. They open the season at home to the Raiders, at home to the Knights, and then they get their bye. And then they have home to the Roosters. So their first 3 games of the season are all at home. They have a huge opportunity to be on 8 points after 4 rounds if they can win at home. They're usually pretty good at home as well. We are going to see how they go with Jamal Fogarty at the 7 this year. For me, I think Seabell holds them back. I have them on the border of the top 8 this year. They definitely can make the top 8 with a draw like that, considering who they play 100%. And also, it does definitely depend on the health of Tom Trbojevic. Third team on the list of easy draws, and that is my boys, the Wars. The Warriors have got a pretty soft draw this year, guys, which I'm pretty thankful for. Obviously, apart from all the travel that we have to do from obviously cross country, that sort of thing. But we do have 11 home games in New Zealand this year. So one of them is at Magic Round. We play the Broncos. 9 is at Go Media at home state. And then we play 2 more. We play 1 in Christchurch. And then we play 1 in Wellington, which is really special on Anzac Day. So we've got, out of those 11 home games in New Zealand, we've got 4 on the Friday, we've got 5 on the Saturday, and then we've got 2 on the Sunday. Again, no 5-day turnaround for the Warriors. And no, I'm not just listing all the teams that don't have a 5-day turnaround, but the Warriors are the 3rd team of the 5 that do not have a 5-day turnaround in their schedule. Means we can get back home to New Zealand, 3-hour, 4-hour flight, rest up, vice versa if we need to go back over. Really good rest. Should be able to take advantage of that. Hopefully we're not too fatigued next year. We do have pretty much the biggest travel distance in the NRL, as I said. Obviously, excluding your Vegas teams, we are by far the biggest travel distance. 61,000 kilometers next year we are bound to travel, which is pretty insane. First 3 of our 4 games are at home. So we go the Roosters and the Raiders straight up, which is going to be 2 really good games. We play the Knights on the road, and then we play the Tigers at home. So if we can click things together, I think as well, there's a slight chance we can start 4-0. 3-1, hopefully at worst there. Like, we lost to the Raiders last year at home, or this year at home, excuse me. I believe we beat the Roosters, but we're definitely more than capable of beating the Knights and Newcastle like we did this year. Lecker, shout out to him. And also the Tigers, which we won, and Tigers as well this year too. In regards to playing top 8 teams, we only play 1 top 4 team twice, and that, as I said, that is the Broncos, which is both at Suncorp. That is like the only major downside to this draw. However, we do get a massive turnout away fan-wise at Suncorp, which is elite. I will be there. We also play the Sharkies twice, and we play the Panthers twice as well. So the other 5 teams on that schedule, we play the Titans, Knights, Dragons, Dolphins, and Tigers twice, which is really cool. Pretty good schedule there. Buys in round 10, round 14, and round 18 as well. So similar to last year, all sort of very condensed together, like 3 buys within 8 weeks, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Like, you've got 9 games at the start to sort of get your fitness and get ready. Hopefully you have a good start by then. Get that bye. We have 2 byes during the Origin period, round 14 and round 18. I think that 18 is the week after the third Origin. But similar to the Sharkies, after round 18, we'll essentially have sort of 8-9 weeks to really ramp it up until finals footy and get ready for hopefully finals footy. Once again, that would be awesome. So, as I said, the only downside is playing the Broncos, the Premiers, twice at Suncorp. One of them is Magic Ground, though. So, I am expecting good attendance from Wires fans at both of those games. We also... After that Magic Round, we do essentially have like a 3-game road trip, which is like our longest road trip kind of thing of the year. So we play Broncos at Magic Round, and then which is a home game for us, and then we play the Dragons, and then we play the Panthers. So bit of a tricky schedule. I say we have a bye like sort of around then as well, so that'll be really handy for us to sort of rest, recuperate after that. Similar to this year, I definitely have us making the top 8. I do have high expectations. And I do think we can definitely make the top 4. I said we've got the draw this year. If Luke Metcalf can stay healthy, Mitch Barnett is back. If he can stay healthy, second year with Fish, hopefully Tane Torpik is at fullback. I'm really excited for the Wires next year, man. I'm really optimistic. It's our year. Let's go on Warriors. All right, and the last team on the easy draws for the year, it's a local Queensland team, and that is Fins Up, the Dolphins. So... they've got, obviously, every team plays 12 home games right out of your 24 to make it even. However, they can obviously choose where to split it, that sort of thing. The Dolphins, they have 9 at Suncorp, and they have 2 at their KO Stadium in Redcliffe, and they are taking 1 game to Darwin this year. I believe they've just signed a contract at TIO Stadium for 3 years, I believe it is. So, really cool, taking the game to the Northern Territory. Regards to their split home games, they go 2 Thursday, 4 Friday, 3 Saturday, and 3 on Sunday. And they have about an average sort of distance travel. Nothing too strenuous. They do have to travel to New Zealand. They will have to obviously travel to North Queensland as well. And then obviously you got your trip to Darwin as well. So there's a couple sort of lengthy trips in there, but you've obviously got to play the Broncos twice. You're not moving there. You've got to play the Titans twice in there as well. So it's just a trip down to the Gold Coast once. In regards to top 8 teams, they play the Warriors, Broncos, and Sharks twice. Obviously, pretty obvious with the Warriors sort of things and Broncos as well, but they also play the Sharks twice as well. Only one top 4 team that they have to play twice, which is good for them. The other 5 teams are they also have to play the Roosters twice, They also have to play Souths, Cowboys, Titans, and Manly twice as well. So pretty favourable, like pretty bloody favourable. That Souths one is both at Suncorp as well, because the other one is for Magic Round. So it sets up quite nicely for the Dolphins. Part of that, they only have to play the Storm once, which is at home. They only have to play the Panthers once, which is at home as well. So very, very favourable draw for the Dolphins next year. They start next season. First 2 games are at home as well against Souths and against the Titans as well. So there's a potential they could be starting 2-0 if they can win both those home games. Their 3 byes, very, very nicely spaced out. Byes in round 6, 13, and 21. So first 5 games to ramp it up, get a bye, rest. Another sort of 6-7 games, bye, rest. Another 7 games, bye and rest. And then another 6 games to ramp it up before potentially finals. So, do they have the potential of making finals this year? Izzy Katoa is going to have to take a massive, massive step up next year. He's definitely the key link. Apparently, Thomas Flegler is going to be back next year, which is such a key fundamental part of the Dolphins. And a big one for them is they do not have a 3-game road trip either. The Max, they only have to play 2 games in a row on the road next year before they have a next game back at home. All right, they are your 4 teams that have a pretty easy draw, in my opinion, for next year. Let me know. Did you find someone with an easier draw? Let me know down in the comments. Heading over to the toughest draws, and these 4 teams have been absolutely stitched up by the NRL. And you know what? 3 of these teams are pretty bloody good. One of them is, didn't make the 8 next year. Did it have the potential to make the 8? 100%. Let's get into it. Going to start off prelim finalists and 4-time premiers, the Panthers. They have been absolutely stitched up, the toughest draw for the NRL schedule next year. And before this draw came out, I've been telling people Panthers will annihilate the competition next year. Annihilate it. This does put a slight halt to it, but I think if there's any team that can go on the road and win games, it's going to be this team. And they nearly bloody did it this year too. So, as I said, 12 home games. They've still not got their stadium ready at Penrith yet. I think it's ready in 2027 from what I've heard. So they're still playing at CommBank. They've got 9 at CommBank. They play 1 at Bathurst, 1 at Mudgee as well, at Glen Willow Oval, I think it's called, and then 1 at Magic Round as well. Their split on days is 2 on Thursday, 3 Friday, 3 Saturday, and 4 on Sunday. Generally don't see the Panthers host games on Sunday. I've changed that. They have 7 return flights, so not too many return flights back home. So a lot of sort of games within that Sydney area. So not too bad. This is where it gets tricky. So they finished in the top 8, right? They have to play the top 8, 6 teams in the top 8 twice. Broncos, Bulldogs, Raiders, Roosters, Storm, and Warriors all have to play them twice. Absolute misery draw for the Panthers. They play all the top 4 twice. What is the team there that they do not play twice in the top 8? It is not coming to mind. That's okay. So they play the Eels and the Tigers twice as well. So there's the other teams so literally only 2 teams in the bottom 8. Or bottom 9, that they play twice. So, as I said, they play the top 4 8 times. They play the top 8 13 times, which is just ridiculous. That is just ridiculous. They play the bottom 9 11 times. So, they're playing the top 8 more than the bottom 9. And they played the bottom 4. Literally, don't even play a bottom 4 team, twice. They played the bottom 4 times. They've been absolutely stitched up. They do have 0 5-day turnaround, so they are one of the 5, along with the Warriors, the Sharks, and Manly. 17 7-day plus turnaround, so they may be relatively fresh for a lot of games. They do also have a stint where they play 3 games in a row on the road as well. So they're going to be stages where they're going to be pretty tired on the road. Obviously, they do have a lot of Origin players as well. Their buys are pretty condensed too. Their buys in around 12, 15 and 19, which for the Panthers is not the worst thing in the world, considering you'll have, a bye maybe after Origin. That bye in round 19 is after Origin 3, which is generally when Ivan Cleary likes to rest his players anyway because they're pretty tired. So that sort of works in their favor a little bit, but still an absolute nightmare schedule for the Panthers. Playing the whole top 4 twice is just an absolute stitch up. But we'll see how they go. You can never ever rule them out. They're an absolute champion team, in my opinion. They lost to the Premiers. They ended up getting knocked out by the Premiers. If they're my pick to go revenge next year, Blaise Talangini's second year, we'll see how that goes. All right, second team on the list of toughest schedules in the NRL for next year, and that is the South Sydney Rabbitohs, led by Wayne Bennett. They had a tough year last year. I think they finished sort of 12th, 13th, maybe came home with a bit of a wet sail, but injuries galore last year for the Rabbitohs. I mean, if they can stay healthy this year, I believe they can make the 8. The draw's not helping them, but good signings. If Latrell's fit, Cody Walker can stay fit. David Fafita, the new marquee signing, if he can stay fit, stay motivated, there's potential in this team 100%. So 12 home games, of course. They only play 7 of those at Accor, which they're used to. Not that they get massive crowds out there. They've got 2 at Allianz this year, so they are taking a couple of Allianz. They are travelling a bit, so they've got 1 in Gosford, which is pretty early on. I think it's round 3. 1 in Perth as well against Manly, I believe, late in the season. And Magic Round, of course, against the Dolphins, which is essentially an away game for them. So 1 Thursday, 4 Friday, 6 Saturday, and 1 Sunday. They only have 6 return flights, obviously being a pretty main-based Sydney team. They have the 3rd lowest time air miles for next year, which is a good thing for them. But I said the schedule just does not help in regards to who they have to play. So they have to play the Roosters, Dogs, Raiders, Storm, and Sharks twice that finished in the top 8 last year. 3 of those teams finishing in the top 4 of that as well. What was that? Dogs, Raiders, yeah. So Dogs, Raiders, and Storm, they all have to play twice, who all finished in the top 4 last year. And then they play the Dolphins and the Knights and the Eels twice as well. So they play the top 4 7 times. Only have to play the Broncos once. They play the top 8 13 times. So similar to Penrith, play the bottom 9 11 times, and that's excluding obviously themselves. And then the bottom 4 they play 4 times as well. So they've not been helped out whatsoever. I believe they finished bottom 4. So the Knights obviously finished smooth. So they get to play them twice. But even then, only having to play the bottom 4 from this year 4 times does not help their schedule in a redemption season for South. So they do have one 5-day turnaround, no more whatsoever, and then only 15 7-day plus turnarounds, which compared to other teams doesn't seem to be a whole lot in all honesty. And they have a stretch sort of in the middle of the season around the Magic round sort of time. They have 5 road games, including that Magic round, in 6 games. So they are on the road for, I believe, 3 games. One of them is Magic round. Come back home for 1, and then go back on the road for 2. So bloody brutal stretch there for South, right in the middle, right sort of in origin period, heading up to it. Will be very, very interesting to see how they go, considering they may not have Latrell, may not have Cam Murray for that sort of thing. Very interesting to see how they go. Their buys, their buys come in round 4, nice and early, round 13 and round 16. Not the best buy schedule I've seen. That's probably a little bit too early for your first buy. You're probably feeling still pretty fresh. So you only play 3 games, have a buy, come back, play 8 games, have a buy, only play 2 games, and then have another buy. And then you've got to play about 10 or 11 games heading right up to the finals. And if they're heading up to the finals, I can imagine they're going to be pretty bloody knackered by the end of it. If they're not, they're fit. They will not fit this year. So if they are looking fitter, maybe there's potential. But there's potential for this team to make the top 8. If they make the top 8, I think it's going to be 7th or 8th. And I can see them probably getting knocked out in the first round. Just given that schedule there, and playing 10 or 11 games heading into finals is pretty bloody brutal. All right, 2 more teams to go with the 4 teams that have a real shit schedule for next year. And that is we've got 2 more top 4 teams actually from this year, and that is the Melbourne Storm. And I love it. Fuck them, honestly. Sorry, shouldn't have said that. Storm. So finishing, where they finished sort of second last year, hosted the Doggies. They have 12 home games. They have 11 at Amy Park, and they are taking one of those to Perth. Their splits are 2 Thursday, 3 Friday, 4 Saturday, and 3 Sunday. Obviously, being in Melbourne, a sole team in Victoria, they're going to have a few flights. They've got 13 return flights back home. So they are doing a little bit of flying next year. Predominantly mainly to like your Sydney, obviously a bit of Brisbane as well. I'm not sure if they have to go to New Zealand or not. We'll have to confirm. But they have to play 5 top 8 teams next year. Obviously, they're one of the top 8. So there's only 2 teams in the top 8 that they're not playing twice. They play the Raiders, the Dogs, the Broncos, the Panthers, and the Roosters all twice there. So they play all 3 other top 4 teams, which is pretty bloody brutal there. They play the Manly Seagulls, Eels, and Souths twice as well. So I know one of those is on Anzac Day against Souths, and then obviously generally pretty good to play Manly twice as well. Such a good rivalry. They play Eels in round 1 as well. So they play the top 4 6 times. They play all of the top 4 twice. They play the top 8 12 times, bottom 9 12 times, and then the bottom 4 5 times. So so you've obviously got Eels and Souths in there. They have one 5-day turnaround, and they have only 14 7-day plus turnarounds. So pretty tough schedule in all honesty. So the other 2 teams that were in the top 8 this year, being the Sharks, and then I'm really skipping on this last team. Hey, it's just not quite getting to me. They play the Sharks in Sydney, which is going to be pretty tough. In regards to their buys, a little bit condensed, a little bit weird. They don't have a buy until round 15, so they have to play the first 14 weeks of the season, heading sort of into Origin period as well, round 18 and then round 24 as well. That buy in round 24, they're going pretty well, will be an absolute blessing for them. They'll have 3 more games after that buy, ramping up the finals. Is it Craig Bellamy's last year at the Melbourne Storm? We will wait and see. Potential of him going to the Gold Coast in 2027. Unreal scenes. And then the last team to cap off the toughest schedules, and that is the Milk Up the Milk Canberra Raiders, finishing minor premiers this year, absolutely out of the blue. Craziness. Can they back it up this year? Well, the NRL has not done them any favours, and Ricky Stewart, to try and back that up. Tough schedule. Tough schedule. They have got 12 home games. So they'll play all those home games with Canberra. They're not travelling anywhere, taking their home games anywhere. 2 Thursday, 3 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and 5 on Sunday. They have 6 return flights, so not too many. They do have a couple stretches where they're on the road for a little bit. Play the Panthers, the Storm, the Dogs, and the Sharkies twice. So they're playing 2 of the top 4 teams twice, and the Panthers twice as well. And even the Sharkies, that's a tough one. Play them twice as well. The other 4 teams are the Knights, Souths, Tigers, and Cowboys. So not too bad in that sort of regard. Played the top 4 5 times, so pretty bloody tough considering they finished top 4 last year. Played the top 8 11 times, the bottom 9 13 times, and the bottom 4 6 times. So they do have some games against the bottom 4, which is pretty handy for them. They do have a brutal start to the season, though. They do start on the road back to back. They do start, I forget where the first game is, but they do go to New Zealand in round 2 as well. They do also have 1 5-day turnaround as well next year, and they have 15 7-day plus turnaround. So tiny bit of time to rest. Probably a lot of those Sunday games are helping that. But they do not get a bye until round 11, then bye in round 18, and then a bye in round 26. And just similar to the Storm, if they're hanging around that top 8, they get 2 buys in 25 weeks, which is pretty tough going. But if they are hanging around in that amongst it, that bye in round 26 is huge. Get a bit of rest, and then you can ramp up for finals. Round 27, treat it like a finals game, and then you got 4 weeks of finals there. Can they go any better this year? Obviously, straight sets this year, which was a bit of a shame, losing to the Broncos at home in that absolute thriller and then losing to the Sharkies. Can they go one better? Oh, without Jamal Fogarty, I'm not so sure. I'm just going to have to see it from Ethan Sanders. I think a very, very young team in this spine there. Going to be interesting to see who is starting at 9 as well, whether it's Owen Paddy, whether it's Jaden Brayley. Going to be very sort of interesting to see. Obviously, still got Tom Starling down there as well. So I have no idea who will be starting at 9 for Canberra. But as I said, their start of the season is absolutely brutal. They will be needing that bye in round 11 pretty pronto. They play the first 6 of the first 9 games on the road. So up the milk, but holy dooly, that is a damn tough schedule for the Canberra Raiders. But they are my 4 teams that have a brutal schedule next year. Good to sort of see that, you know, sort of like 3 big contenders in there, like Raiders, Storm, and Panthers have tough schedules. I know AI did it, but still good to see. And South, a team that does have potential on paper. Going to be interesting to see how they go about that draw as well there. All right, crossing over to the marquee games for next year. I've got about 8 or 9 here. Guys, we all know sort of the marquee games that we look forward to every single year, and I'm here to obviously break it down and tell you sort of which games are in when and what rounds to sort of get you sort of excited, get you in the mood. I know we're a few months out, but bloody hell, I'm excited. Let's get excited. So we're kicking off the season obviously in Vegas as like the last 2 years. So Doggies and the Dragons and Knights and the Cowboys. I am bloody ecstatic to get the season started in Vegas once again. Round 1, guys, the schedule is looking absolutely top tier. There are some cracking games, some cracking sort of scheduled games, some cracking storylines. We've got Broncos and the Panthers, a prelim final matchup from this year in round 1 as well at Suncorp. That is going to be an absolute belter. Panthers revenge. Broncos first game as premiers. Going to be an absolute blockbuster. We've also got like Manly against Raiders. We've got Jamal Fogarty, first game at Brookie. I think they're celebrating their 80th anniversary. First game against his old team, the Raiders. Just all sets up just so good. Obviously, a guy like, I believe, not Xavier Savage, who am I thinking of? KO Weeks, he's playing against sort of Manly again at Brookie. Such good storyline for round 1. I cannot wait. It's just going to be so good. But Souths and Roosters, they play in round 2 as well. Obviously, the classic matchup, the oldest teams in the NRL that we have. They play in round 2 and, of course, finish off in the regular season in round 27. They could potentially be 2 teams vowing for the top 8. 2 teams that absolutely hate each other, always get up for that game. We have the grand final replay between the Broncos and the Storm. I believe that is down in Melbourne. That is in round 3. That is going to be an absolute blockbuster. Broncos have some pretty brutal games early on. They have a pretty tough schedule, but it does get a bit easier in the sort of mid to end of the year. We have the Brisbane Derby. Wow, the Broncos are featuring a lot. Obviously, a marquee team of the NRL. Let's be honest here. The first Brisbane Derby between the Broncos and the Dolphins at Suncorp is in round 4 as well. They also play in round 23 too. The Queensland Derby, I'm going to say that between Broncos and the Cowboys, a classic matchup. They play in round 6 and then round 21. And then probably one of the best weeks of the year, Anzac round. So Anzac Day, we've got the Warriors against the Dolphins in Wellington, the capital of New Zealand, and then we've got the Storm playing against the Souths down in Melbourne. 2 very, very special games on the calendar, and just a very special week in general. Anzac round does not get any better. NRL players, they say it's such an honor to play in a week like that, and we get 2 games on Anzac Day, and it's just so special. You just can't beat it. And of course, one of my favorite matchups as a sort of a fan of rugby league and not a fan of either team. And one of my first memories of sort of watching rugby league when I was a bit younger is between these 2 teams, and that is the Sea Eagles and the Storm. This one in Brookie in round 17. They do face each other in Melbourne as well, but the run in Brookie always just stands out to me. I will never, ever, ever forget Glenn Stewart and Adam Blair absolutely throwing haymakers at each other, walking off the field together after getting sin-binned. I'll never forget watching it live on telly. I just remember saying, they're going to punch up here. They're going to punch up. Oh my God, they're punching up. Oh my God, this is happening. It was just like, crazy, crazy scenes. I watch that replay quite regularly of that fight, and it's just epic. The Manly players just come ramming in. I think Manly ended up winning that game when the Storm were sort of top of the table. So one of the things I really like about this draw is obviously it was made by AI, but they obviously sort of set it up a certain way, right? So a big one is the 5-day turnarounds. They've reduced it from 21 occasions this year down to 12 occasions, which is just 12 teams. So no team has more than 1 5-day turnaround, which is so good, right? Like, we're talking about fatigue, we're talking about health of players, HIAs, that sort of thing. To have only 12 teams have a 5-day turnaround, which is just 1 throughout the season, is going to be so, so good, I think, for the game. Those 5 teams that do not have a 5-day turnaround, obviously we mentioned a few before. There's the Dolphins, the Panthers, Manly, Sharks, and the mighty Wars up the Wars. That will do it, guys. That's my NRL draw review for you guys to start 2026 off with a bang. Doing it in November. Cannot get enough of it. I reviewed the draw for you guys. Let me know, guys, who do you think has the best draw out of those 4? It could be someone else. Could be someone else out of those 4 I didn't mention. Who do you think got stitched up? Was it the Panthers, the Broncos, Panthers, Storm, Raiders, South? Or do you think it's someone else that has a tough draw? Or do you think there's a certain part of the draw where you think it's super tough for a team? And I want to know, who do you think is going to be the smoky that's leading after 5 rounds? Is there a team that's going to be 5-0 that we didn't expect? They have a pretty good draw to start, maybe in a hard draw. Who's going to start 4-0? Who's going to start 0-5? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Remember, follow my socials, all at Scooshy Sports, SKOOSHI Sports. All your daily reels, opinions, clips, absolutely anything, highlights of anything. It's all there for you guys. I will clip a little bit of this sort of YouTube video to post on my socials. Make sure if you have an opinion as well, give it a comment on there as well. I love chatting to you guys. That will do it for this episode. I am bloody keen for this NRL season now. I cannot wait for Vegas. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and cheers.